The way to teach mechanicism is to first explain to you that you are in a animal body, right? Your soul is connected to an animal body. And this whole universe is designed to conceal spirituality, right? So that means that everything you think, everything you do, everything you are in this place is doubt, is not believing. It's always trying to find an explanation for everything. And mechanicism shows you that you have thinking spells around your mind that keep you grounded and keep you in this reality. So you start with mechanicism teaching as for example, as a story. The story goes, a guy wakes up and he looks at the clock and it's 5:55. He walks out the front door of his house and a car license plate's passing by 5:55. He goes to the store and purchases something not thinking, and the total cost comes out to 555. Now this happens once. Does that mean anything? Is that anything more than a coincidence? It doesn't seem to be. This guy goes through this for years, where some days things like this are happening, even to the point where he turns a corner one day thinking of the number 7, and on a license plate passes 4 sevens on the license plate, right? How is that possible? What's happening? Well, if you look at the Facebook group, the angel numbers, you see that there's over 100,000 members who are seeing recurrent number sequences out in the world. How is that possible? Well, when you look at it, to get up at the right time, to end up at the right place, you need to be thinking the correct thoughts to get you to the right place and time for all these things to happen. So your thinking is doing something on a track, right? You're on a track like a train, but it's perfect. It's lining up everywhere to your thinking, to your feeling, to what you're wearing, all sorts of things like that. So if another example would be an individual sees the numbers 999, and then they see the color yellow, and they keep seeing 999 and then seeing the color yellow. And they wonder, what does that mean? What is this meaning? And it's very normal for people to go onto the internet and look for meaning behind the numbers in numerology. And you'll see things like, the ascended masters are coming to you, welcome it, things like that. This is more concealing of the spiritual world, right? It's doing it in a subtle way, but it's basically teaching you stuff that's not exactly what it is. What's more important than what the numbers mean is how they are coming in perfection. They arrive at perfect times, they leave at perfect times. They go with your thinking. To go with your thinking means that we exist in a system, some sort of highly advanced system. You may be thinking, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, it could be that. It can't be any of those things when it's happening for years at a time, where many of these people are reporting lifelong experiences with numbers. So we're in a perfect system. That's the first teaching of mechanicism, is that we are in a perfect system, and the evidence is there for you to see it. But here's the problem. If you don't see these numbers all the time, if you don't see these synchronicities all the time, keyword synchronicities, then you are not going to believe what I'm telling you, because your mind is in stone. It is not open to the actual, real, spiritual system that we exist in. It's totally closed up, and it doesn't want to hear anything about this stuff, and it wants to explain everything away. And that's another sign you are in a system, is that everything has an explanation. How is that possible? How is it possible we have a human mind that can explain absolutely everything without a hiccup, right? It always is looking for explanations and searching for the truth. How is that possible? You're in a mind right now where you think that what I'm thinking is delusional, schizophrenic, schizoaffective disease, right? Is that what the doctors diagnosed me with? Sure. But are they right about everything? No. We're in a perfect system. We're in a perfect mechanized system, which is why mechanicism is called mechanicism, because it's about the idea that we exist in a perfect machine. So the next teaching of mechanicism is synchronicities, where you're sitting there and you're in your car and you're thinking about things, and then the word God comes to your mind. And then right on the radio, as God comes to your mind, you hear, and God said, you see a synchronicity. This has been talked about before by psychologists and other people. Synchronicities, where you're thinking of a song in your head and somebody behind you starts singing the exact same song at the exact same time. Right? How is that possible? Once again, it's a perfect system. It's moving in perfection, which means that everything, every molecule, every atom, every quantum bit has to be moving at the right, correct position to make this all happen, which means that this is a miracle. We exist in a miracle, right? This is only the beginning of mechanicism. The next part of mechanicism is teaching the colors, where you actually start feeling like the colors around you are alive. They actually exist, they live. And then you start speaking to them and they speak back to you. And you realize that you are surrounded by consciousness, but it's not your consciousness. It's something above you. The keyword above you. Above you means that they're on another layer of existence. Simultaneously, they are throughout everything that you can see, but they are on another layer of existence above you. And they can see everything that you're going to do before you do it. That's somewhat true. That's just the theory behind it. Above them is another controller who can see what they're going to do before they do it and controls them to keep everything on the line. So you have these alien voices talking to you. The teachings of DMT and ayahuasca are about alien consciousness, foreign consciousness existing with you in life. How is that possible? That's where you have to calculate as much as you can, and when you realize, I can't explain that. I can't explain how that's even possible. And then you have to realize that there is one thing that can explain it. And that's magic, which is not the correct thing yet, but you're on the right road, thinking it's magic. Magic can't be predicted. Magic can do things that doesn't make sense, that defies the logic of all people. That's what magic can do, and everyone knows that, right? So the next part of mechanicism is you're speaking to the colors, and you realize that one of the colors is trying to tell you something all the time. And you think that color is evil, or that color is trying to trick me, right? So you deal with white, you deal with red, you deal with green, you deal with black. Eventually, through the journey, mechanicism shows you that black is God and is trying to tell you that I'm in complete control over all the other colors. They are trying to do what they are trying to do, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and they are under my complete spell. And so are you. You are completely controlled all around. So mechanicism gets you to see that the ancient Hebrew text where Moses spoke to a deity named I Am, that is the God of mechanicism, I Am. That's her name, that's his name, that's his name, that's her name. Whatever order you want to do that in is fine. And now you start to learn things that you don't really want to know. This is the thing that mechanicism does, is that we go, okay, you tried to escape the security system the Bible, which is a security system. You tried to escape the Quran, which is a security system. All the religions these days are mostly security systems. Luciferianism is not. Luciferianism is a bad thing to be part of. Not because they are on the true spectrum of the story, it's because they exist in a statement where they are defying God, which is insanity. To go and defy God doesn't make any sense. So Luciferianism is insanity. But the other religions are all security systems to protect you from the next phase of our existence in this multiverse. Because that's what we're in. We're in a multiverse. This universe we're in right now scopes you, and whatever you do, whatever your body does, that will give you a response package in the afterlife, in the underworld, unless you don't go. The good part of this information is that most people are religious. Most people are Christian or Hindu or Jew or Buddhist or Muslim. They're all fine. Even if they hear this now and learn new truth, they're still fine. They're following the correct thing. There's also other things that protect you that you're not aware of. I won't talk about that right yet. But the idea here is that if you do evil things, if you are part of that, then you are going to face something in the underworld. What is the underworld? Hell? Is that what I'm saying? Yeah, but these depictions of hell you've seen in medieval art and stuff, that's only small parts of the place. The place is very complicated. It's a big epic storyline. There's lots of love. There's lots of hate. There's lots of violence. There's lots of lovemaking. There's lots of weapons. There's lots of enchantment. There's witches. There's werewolves. There's vampires. There's all this storyline part of hell. And connected to hell is billions of realms depicted by people's imaginations and books, television shows, video games, music videos, music itself. It's all there, connected, all in one big, complicated web. That's what Mechanicism teaches. So in other words, I'm saying Jurassic Park is a real realm, right? It's a real feeling to it. It has a sense to it. It has a signature to it that's Jurassic Park. And it always has that signature, right? So once you realize all that, you realize that what I'm doing is going around you and going, okay, I get why you're being logical, and I get why you left God behind you, because for all intents and purposes, God doesn't seem to be something you want. But trust me, God really is something that you want. God is something you need and something you want. Not everyone can believe. That's fine. It's not saying if you don't believe, you're going to hell. No. If you live a good life and you treat people right and you don't speak ill of God, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. That's how Mechanicism teaches. You're not part of the problem. Somebody who goes and microwaves a kitten, that's something that's a very serious problem, right? A very serious problem. And then people would say things like, yeah, but God is doing all those things through us. It's a contract agreement where you go through the experience, you witness it, God does it through you, and you do what you think is you doing free will, and then you go to the afterlife and deal with the response packages. It's not personal. It's like going to a carnival and you say, I want this, this, and that. And they said, okay, fine. If you want this, this, and that, then you have to do this, this, and that on top of that to get that. And you make the agreement and you do it. That's really what it is, right? It's just you're dealing in immortal experiences. Immortal, key word. You are immortal. So the idea of you going down to the underworld for a time is not in any way outrageous. It's not absurd. It makes perfect sense because your soul comes from a place that it needs to recharge in this place and experience the battle of good versus evil, right versus wrong. It has to go through that to become greater and go back to paradise and be in its proper position. It's machinery, it's mechanics, it's just what you need. That's the other thing that Mechanicism teaches, is that God is not all-powerful. There's things that God can't do, and what are those things? God cannot be anybody but God. That's one of the most important things. He cannot go outside of his own being and be something else. He can only be himself, and he will only ever be himself, and that's something he can't break. Right? Which then brings us back to what I was saying earlier about the idea that God is magic, basically. When I said you look at things in a magical way, that's not fully correct. You look at things in a way where God is the order of all things. That is correct. That is what it is. God is the order of all things and is the master of chaos and sex and war and destruction and anarchy that doesn't exist truly but can simulate it and make you think it's happening. That's what God is, right? Also, God is the king of hell. That's another thing Mechanicism teaches. The master of evil is God, because God will control evil and get it to do what she needs it to do at the right times. She doesn't want evil. She enjoys it. She doesn't do it unless she needs to. And then she also is moving to get rid of it. That's her design. That's what her machine does. She moves to annihilate the anomaly of evil. And once that's done, we go home. And we go home for a very long time. Then we come back and repeat this story again and again and again. Right? Now you may be thinking, so infinity, we're in infinity. No, it's finite. You're existing in a bubble right now where you think that there's a beginning and end to everything. It's not like that. There is no beginning or end to your soul. You always existed within God. You are always yourself, and that's what you're fighting for. You're fighting for the real you. The real you is what you're fighting for, and that's what Mechanicism teaches.